Hi, my name is Fred, and I'm one of the bloggers here at Rots and Shots. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about several different types of ammunition that have recently come on the market. And yes, I've actually seen some of the ballistic gelatin testing done for some of these various types of ammunition. Some of them show a lot of promise, and I actually can't say any of them are really all that terrible. There's good points and bad points to all of them, and I don't claim to represent any ammunition manufacturer. I don't claim to be an expert by any means. Again, like I said, my only reason for doing this is I have seen some of the ballistic gel tests for these different types of ammo. So my opinions on them are just that. They're my opinions and my opinions alone. So let's get started. Our first offering is from an ammunition manufacturer called Rare Ammunition. They manufacture something called the Copper Only Projectile. It's abbreviated COP. You can Google it and you'll find it rather quickly. I know I did when I first Googled it. The COP is a copper only projectile, which means that when it strikes the target, it is heavier than lead, it's more dense than lead, and therefore will obviously have more penetration power than lead does. The other benefit to the COP ammunition is that it retains its mass. It does mushroom, just like any other hollow point out on the market. It does mushroom, but unlike the mirrored jacketed hollow points, the COP being a solid copper hollow point, it holds its shape and mass a lot better than say your average hollow point would, because obviously using a denser metal, a heavier metal like copper instead of lead, which is much softer, it holds its shape a lot better, and it's what we call barrier blind ammunition. Now, a lot of you are going, what's barrier blind? Does it mean it has a cane and taps its way to the target? No, I doubt that very seriously, that it has a cane and taps its way to the target. But when we refer to barrier blind, those of us who are pro-gun and Second Amendment advocates, a lot of us, in referring to barrier blind ammunition, are talking about the penetrative power of the ammunition and the ability for it to go through different barriers, meaning that if there is something between us and the bad guy we are shooting at, car door, glass, house doors, walls, these types of quote-unquote barriers to getting the bad guy. These types of ammunition that are so-called barrier blind ammunitions have a much better chance of not only affecting the barrier and going through that barrier, but then also still stopping the bad guy on the other side of the barrier. Now, obviously, one of the major concerns with barrier blind ammunitions are the fact that you could become an instant serial killer. Because if they will go through the car doors, if they'll go through other various objects, then there is also a likelihood that it may go through your bad guy. And if it goes through your bad guy and hits bystanders, you could have several legal issues. Because whether you know it or not, in most states, or in a lot of states, you are responsible for what is behind the bad guy. So if I take to shooting the bad guy and there's 5 innocent bystanders behind the bad guy, and my round over penetrates, and I also eliminate 2 or 3 of the innocent bystanders in the process of eliminating the bad guy, then I've become an instant serial killer. So, and it also opens you up to several different lawsuits. Different types of lawsuits, I guess I should say, not several different ones, but several different types of lawsuits that could go along with that. Um, and then there is, of course, Aguilera's IQ ammunition. In taking a look at this, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to scramble my eggs on this stuff or if I wanted to actually shoot it. What Aguilera has done, and done successfully it would seem, is that Aguilera ammunition has produced a Teflon coated round. And yes, believe it or not, this is the stuff that you've heard about in the news that is supposed to be, and I quote, cop killer bullets. Well, no, the bullets themselves aren't cop killers. You see, that's still, that's the mainstream media playing on your emotions, trying to put a label on something that isn't exactly true. The bullet itself may have or possess certain qualities, like for example, it's a jacketed hollow point that is encased in Teflon. Okay, that's sort of why I made the joke. I don't know whether I want to scramble my eggs on it or shoot something with it. But with Aguilera's IQ, the mainstream media has labeled it to be cop killer ammunition, just like they did with Winchester Arms offering Black Talons back in the late 80s, early 90s, I think it was, if my memory serves me correctly. This stuff is no more cop killer ammunition than that was. In fact, Hornady still makes, or Winchester Ammunition, I'm sorry, still makes the same Black Talon round. They don't call it Black Talon anymore. They call it Winchester Rangers. It's still the exact same projectile, mounted on the exact same powder formulation. It just doesn't sound big and scary like Black Talon did. And no, it doesn't have the black nickel shell casings anymore. But it is the same exact ballistics, it's the same exact projectile, it is the same exact powder blend. It just doesn't have a big scary name, and it doesn't look big and scary because it's not black nickel shell casings, it's, you know, polished shell casing, nickel shell casings. Anyway, so basically Aguilera is they're trying to give Aguilera a bad rap for making so-called cop killer ammunition. It's a jacketed hollow point that is covered in Teflon. So it's twice jacketed. Yes, the Teflon does give it certain ballistic properties and certain ballistic coefficients that maybe not every round out there on the market has, but calling it cop killer is not applicable. What is a cop killer is the person willing to use the ammunition to kill the cop, but I've already said this several times. And then, of course, you have the guard dog round. Guard dog rounds are a product, I believe, of Remington, USA. And the guard dog is actually a relatively ingenious round. It looks like ball ammunition, looks like Full Metal Jacket, looks like FMJ. It is not. It is actually polymer filled. And the reasoning behind the polymer filled, what would appear to be a FMJ round, is that a lot of times with hollow point ammunition, as opposed to FMJ, you end up with the hollow point ammunition snagging on the feed ramps of weapons, whereas a lot of times FMJ will feed the weapon a lot smoother, or serve the weapon a lot smoother. So therefore, hence the guard dog round. The guard dog round allows the ammunition to feed very smoothly. It mushrooms incredibly well due to the polymer filling. Now I feel like I'm talking about donuts. I'm talking about filling. Yeah, it has a polymer filling. A lot like the next rounds I'm going to talk about, which is offerings from the company of Stephen Hornady. It is their Critical Defense, the Zombie Max, and I think they have something called Critical Duty. It's basically all three rounds are the same exact thing. They are all polymer-filled jacketed hollow points. The hollow area or hollow cavity of the hollow point is polymer-filled, just like with the guard dog. Again, the idea is smoother feeding, no feed jam, and smooth ejection of the empty shell casings after firing. All the ammunitions are guaranteed expansion. They're guaranteed to mushroom, mainly due to the fact that all three ammunitions are polymer filled, and the main difference is in the coloration of the polymer that fills them. And that's about it. I wanted to let you know that there were some new offerings out there. They are all excellent offerings. All of them have really good properties to them. Like I said, the only drawbacks are with some of the ammunition that are quote-unquote barrier-blind ammunitions. For the fact that they don't stop at whatever they hit, they can and have been known to keep going. Alright, my name's Fred, and I'm one of the bloggers here at Rods and Shots. I hope you all have a good evening, and I will talk to you again soon.